Good morning, everyone. For my discussion, I'll be discussing teaching versus learning in OBE, or teaching versus learning in outcome based education. Teaching is what the teacher does, while learning is what the student achieves. In OBE, or outcome based education, the focus is not on the teaching activities, but whether the learning actually occurs. So, what is outcome based education, or what is OBE? So when we say OBE, the focus in this is on the outcomes of the learning. This is where the students achieve at the end of the lessons or the course. So all students can learn and succeed, although not in the same time and um, same way. So the role of the teacher and the school here is to create a right condition for the students to be able to succeed. As in teaching and learning in OBE said that teaching is teaching if the learners learn, as learning is measured by its outcome. So whatever teaching approach or teaching pedagogy that the teacher use, as long as it is um, acceptable and um, the goal is to help the students to succeed, it's okay. And the focus of OBE is on learning rather than the teaching factors. So what is teaching in OBE? So when we say teaching in OBE, it is only meaningful if the learners learn, and the focus in here is to um, help the students achieve the outcomes. They can use a variety of methods and strategies, and the role here of the teacher is not as an instructor, but as a guide, facilitator, and a support learning for the students. So, teaching in OBE also, these are the teacher are the one who encourage the students to have a positive, inclusive classroom environment. So now let's proceed. What is learning in OBE, or what is learning in um, outcome-based education? So when we say learning in OBE, um, it measured by the outcomes of the learners. So when we say outcomes, it is important that there is the product. In here, the students understand why, what, and how they learn. And also, students can students can emphasize application, reflections, and continuous improvement, as the focus of OBE is on the learners. And the role of the learners here in OBE is to they're encouraged to use their knowledge meaningfully. And now let's proceed to the tips in teaching learning in OBE. So first is teacher must prepare students adequately. The second one is teacher must create a positive learning environment. So it is um, important that the teachers need to clearly know what students are supposed to learn. Then it is really important that teachers must create uh, a learning environment that is positive, that every learners feel valued and understood. The next is teacher must help their students to understand what they have learned, why they should learn it, and how will it matter. And this is very important, that the students need to understand the what, why, and how of their learning. So next is teacher must use a variety of teaching method. So really, it is important that the teacher must use a different or choose learning outcomes that um, suit the needs of the students. And then teacher must provide students with enough opportunity, so and teacher must help students to bring each learning to a personal closure. So in here, it is very important that students are given a chance to apply what they learn, as learning isn't about memorizing, it's about using the knowledge that they've learned. And it is very important that um, we help the students to reflect at the end of a lesson for them to understand what they have really learned. So now let's proceed to the additional key points in teaching learning in OBE. So um, in here, I have a table that showed to you that about the outcome-based approach and the traditional teaching approach. So learn from the outcome-based approach, it is learner student centered, teachers role as partner facilitator, focus on learners' output, flexible and empowering, emphasize on progress and overall learning, learning outcomes, learning programs are seen as guides that allow the teachers to be innovative and creative. It is a criterion reference, and for the traditional teaching approach, it is a teacher-centered. Um, Teachers rule as instructor, focus on teachers' input, rigid and controlling, emphasis on products and course objectives or syllabus is seen rigid and non-negotiable. Now, let's proceed to assessment of learning outcomes in OBE. So, assessment in OBE should also be guided by its four principles, which are clarity of focus, designing backwards, high expectation, and expanded opportunity. So, there are eight assessment of learning outcomes in OBE. So, first, assessment procedure should be valid. So, it is important that the assessment that we give to our students is valid. Second is assessment procedure should be reliable. So it is important also that the assessment is reliable because there is no progress for the students um, if the assessment that we give is not for them. And third is assessment procedure should be fair. Of course, it is important. Then assessment should reflect the knowledge and the skills of the students. The fifth one is assessment should tell both the teachers and students how students are progressive. And the sixth is assessment should support every student's opportunity to learn things that are important. So it is important that assessment can reflect a meaningful skills. And seventh one is assessment should allow individuality or uniqueness to be demonstrated. Eighth one is assessment should be um, it cover the overall learning, as it is important that the assessment that we give to our students is it cover all their learnings so that their learning shouldn't be put in waste. And then for conclusions, teaching learning in OBE or outcome based is the focus of shift from teaching to learning, as the role of the teachers evolved from a knowledge dispenser to a learning facilitator, as success is defined by the student that is demonstrated or guided by the teacher. So that would be all for my topic. And before I end this, I will leave a saying that outcome-based education isn't about filling the minds, it's about lighting fires. Every outcomes that mastered is a spark of transformation, as every lesson is a bridge to real-world triumph. So that will be all. Thank you.